Alrighty, so today's Tuesday Tidbit is what are financial reserves? So reserves are funds left over after closing. So once you buy a house, after you pay the closing costs, the prepaids, the down payment, everything, how much do you have left over after closing? If you're buying a primary residence, reserves are not typically required. I had a member one time bring everything they had to closing except for $5, and the government was okay with that. They were buying a primary residence, it was their first home, they did not require any money left over after closing. Now, most people would be like, eek, that's kind of tight. But the government was perfectly fine with it. They closed just fine. Now, when you buy an investment property, the government has additional concerns. Well, what if you didn't find tenants right away? Would you have the means to make multiple mortgage payments on that house without having to worry about it? So they require reserves when you purchase investment properties. When you buy a house, you're in a jumbo loan. Jumbo loan is above the county threshold for loan limits. Investors behind the loans, in this case, Elevation's credit union, when we are doing a jumbo loan, are going to require that you have funds left over after closing as well. Banks, credit unions are very quick to lend out the government's money, which is a conforming loan, county loan limit and below. And they're a little bit slower to lend out their own money. They're a little bit more protective. They're a little bit more cautious. They want to see that you have money left over after closing. Now, reserves are reflected in terms of how many months of payments you have. So if you had a monthly mortgage payment of, let's say, $2,000, and you had $6,000 left over after closing, you would have 3 months of reserves. You could afford that monthly payment 3 times before things are going to get a little tricky. So reserves are reflected in regards to how many months worth of payments do you have set aside for closing. In addition, very common question is, do we have to deposit those reserves with Elevations or any other financial institution? Definitely not. They could be in brokerage accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. They could be in investment accounts. They could be in retirement accounts. Insofar as we can show how much you actually have access to within that 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, that kind of thing. So reserves do not have to be liquid funds. They can be invested. We do have to show reserves on certain types of transactions. Investment properties, jumbo loans, those are the ones you're going to most often come across reserves. Not typically required on a primary residence. Hope that helps. Offer some clarity. Thanks. Bye.